Two Geeks, Two Beers and a Laptop. Episode 11, Shows That Try to Be Doctor Who, Part 1.
My name is Greg Dyke, and I am Director General of the BBC. Bring back Doctor Who, all right, but it's not going to be any Daleks in it. No, they cross me once too often.
Cheers.
Cheers. Well, hello. Welcome to a new episode of Two Geeks, Two Beers and a Laptop. Now, first of all, a bit of admin.
Yeah.
I think we've realised that we have been slightly neglecting 1/3 of our podcast.
The beer element.
The beer element. We're talking about geeky things. We have a laptop. The beer is being neglected. So we just wanted to fill you in. We are enjoying a couple of bottles of Brewdog's Punk IPA.
They're like an up-and-coming brand, aren't they? They're moving up in the world.
They are. It's quite hipster of us. So let's have a drink.
Bit of spillage. Oh.
He's frothing.
It's very nice though.
Yeah, it's good.
Before we've just been using generic
lagers.
Yeah.
We're going up in the world.
So here we go.
As our fan base grows.
Yeah, so if you ever want to send us beer, then
if anyone wants us to plug their beer brand, please do just send us beer. Yeah. Alright, so this episode, as we sort of teased at the end of the last episode, is the first of a two-parter.
Yep.
We're going to be looking at shows that try to be a Doctor Who. So this episode is going to be all about shows that try to sort of fill that Doctor Who void.
So what era was this?
This is after the show finished in 1989.
Okay.
Sort of between then and 2005 when it came back. You know, Christopher Ecclestone, Billy Piper, and Russell T Davies.
So we're pretending that what's his name?
We're pretending that the Paul McGann TV movie never happened,
okay.
as a lot of Doctor Who fans tend to do.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So December 6th, 1989 is when the final ever episode of classic Doctor Who went out. Survival Part 4. It wrapped up the Doctor and Ace's adventure on the planet of the Cheetah People.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that era wasn't particularly held in much high regard either, was it? It kind of was on its way out.
I mean, I've got a lot of time for 80s Doctor Who, but it did
Sylvester
sort of peter
McCoy was
out.
Voted, he's normally voted one of the worst, right?
Not the worst.
But one of the worst.
Second worst.
Okay.
Colin Baker's the worst.
To the other end.
Yeah, the guy immediately before him. Yeah. But that means Doctor Who didn't end on like a lull.
No,
technically,
it got better.
It got a bit better.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Doctor Who, the ratings were going down. It was going up against Coronation Street on weekdays or weeknights. So they kind of knew that Doctor Who was going to be wrapping up. So the producer of Doctor Who at the time, John Nathan Turner, he sort of said to Andrew Cartmel, who was the writer of Survival, the last story, he said, can you just write Sylvester McCoy a little speech that will then dub over the final scenes so that it feels a little bit more like a proper conclusion to the series, just in case the show doesn't come back. So we'll have a little geek at that now. Oh, God, almost spilled my beer. This is the final ever scene of classic Doctor Who, the end of Survival Part 4.
Where to now, Ace?
Home.
Home?
The TARDIS.
Yes, the TARDIS. There are worlds out there where the sky's burning, where the sea's asleep and the rivers dream. People made of smoke and cities made of song. Some of there's danger, some of there's injustice, and somewhere else the tea's getting cold. Come on, Ace. We've got work to do.
Now, it's the end of, 26 years of sci-fi adventures. Maybe not the grandest speech, but...
So for a while, that's all you had to,
That's all you had to keep you going as a Doctor Who fan. Yeah. That was actually recorded by Sylvester McCoy on the 26th anniversary of Doctor Who, funnily enough. 23rd of November 1989. The Doctor Who production office then shut down in August 1990. This makes me a little bit sad, even though it came back, having been in continuous operation since 1963. Just I just got this image of them, closed. They close the door.
They turn the light off.
Yeah, exactly, like the end of Cheers. That's what I'm picturing this guy, Jonathan Turner, in his Hawaiian shirt, just sort of turning off the lights of the Doctor Who production office. So anyway, this brings us on to the purpose of this episode, which is to look at all those shows that in this, my math is terrible, in this 16-year period,
Well done.
thanks, I had to look at the numbers, we tried to replace Doctor Who. Now, first up on my list, I've got a show which I know... Well, I don't know if you're a fan of it. I think we're both fans of more the very idea that it existed.
Okay.
Which is Crime Traveller.
Yes. I love Crime Traveller.
But what do you know about Crime Traveller?
I watched it at the time, but
Okay.
I can't remember anything about it.
Yeah.
I only remember it was, what's his name? Michael French.
Michael French of
Wixie
EastEnders.
from EastEnders. And Chloe Annette from Red Dwarf.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like her second big programme after Red Dwarf. And she was...
God, Spillage.
Spillage. But
We've branched out with beer, and we think we might have made a mistake because we're having spillages all over the place.
But I'm guessing they just, well, like as it says in the title, they fought crime by going through time.
That was actually the tagline. No, it wasn't. It should have been fight crime by going through time.
But why did they get this amazing like tools?
All right. So Crime Traveller was, again, I'm not sure if I think I watched it, but I more just like the idea that it exists because it's absurd. So it aired one series of 8 episodes in 1997. So this is the year after the Paul McGann TV movie.
And the same year Red Dwarf when she was in it. So
1997 was a hot year for Chloe Annette.
Big year.
Yeah. So it was written by Anthony Horowitz. Quite a big deal.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, possibly a racist. but quite, no, I'm joking. But quite a big deal. You know, he had the new James Bond book, Trigger Mortis, come out recently. Crime Traveller, right, is about this guy, Jeff Slade, who he's a detective, right? And
Jeff Slade?
Jeff Slade is Michael French's character. Oh, seriously, if you're having a problem with silly character names, we've only just begun in this episode of Two Geeks. Jeff Slade, Wikipedia describes him as a good detective who gets results, although his approach is somewhat maverick.
So a good detective. He's not one of the best. And he sort of gets results.
But I like the idea.
Sometimes.
It says something along the lines of 9 times out of 10 he gets results. I like that, yeah, but he's a maverick detective, but damn it, he's good.
Okay.
She can't follow you.
Just says.
Which has been completely unreasonable. Silberman was a monster.
You wait till you see the papers tomorrow morning. He'll be an innocent victim and I'll be the monster.
Grisham's overreacting. I mean, nobody is asking the most obvious question. What was Silberman doing at the station?
Holly, please, if I could turn back the clock and go and ask him, I would, but I can't because he's dead. So if you don't mind, I've got some typing to do.
One of his best mates and colleagues is Holly Turner, played by Chloe Annette, who is a science officer, because every CID department has a science officer.
Yeah.
It's not a bloody Starship Enterprise.
Why is she there?
Science officer. Anyway, so she has a secret, which is that
She invented time travel.
Wow, no, that would be ridiculous. No, her father invented time travel. Yeah. So she has inherited a time machine built by her father.
A time machine?
This is completely confidential. You mustn't breathe the word to anyone.
Holly, come on. Everyone knows time travel is not possible. Oh, you believe it is?
My father was Frederick Turner. Professor Frederick Turner.
Was?
No, he's gone. I'm just trying to finish what he began. That's the only reason I'm working in the department. I have to earn enough money to carry on his work, experiments and time travel.
Very specific laws of time in Crime Traveller.
Okay, I like laws of time.
Yeah, so the machine is only able to take them back far enough so that they can witness a crime as it happens and discover who committed it.
So they can't do anything about it?
They cannot change history.
But why... So the time machine somehow detects when there was a crime committed, somehow.
Yeah.
Doesn't explain how, it just does.
Yeah.
But it can only get there like 4 seconds before, so they can't stop it.
No. It's not that they don't have the time to stop it. It's that you could get there however long beforehand. It could be an hour before the murder or whatever the crime
you're not
is.
allowed to
but
do
you're
it.
not allowed to change
What happens
things.
if you do?
Well, nothing. It's that time travel concept where it's getting incredibly nerdy now.
No, I
but
love it.
you know that thing where it's like, oh, you can't have changed time because it would have already happened.
Whatever happened, happened.
Whatever happened, happened.
Yeah.
So
the lost theory.
That's not the way it works. Who says? You cannot change anything. You can't. Even if you tried to, wouldn't work. Why not? Time, it's like a street, right? We can move forward on that street. We can move in reverse, but we cannot ever create a new street. If we try to do anything different, we will fail every time. Whatever happened, happened.
There's that great episode of Quantum Leap where he goes back in time, thinks his job is to protect JFK from getting assassinated,
Right.
and then he tries and fails, and he's like, I failed. And he's like, no, don't worry, Scott Bakula, because in the original timeline, his wife died too. And your mission was actually to protect the wife, which you did. Right. So he did change time, but he'd already changed time in the future that he lived in. Got it?
Yeah.
Yep. Clear as muck? Great. So anyway, the point is, they're not allowed to change history, because if they had changed history, they would have already changed history.
So what? So they witness the crime and then they just go back to the present day and...
Essentially, yeah.
So how do they prove it?
I guess they catch him red-handed in the past or something, because they don't travel back to the future. Back to the future.
What, they stay there?
Well, no, because it's only like...
Oh, right, so they go back to the 60s?
No, they go back to like last week.
Oh,
and then they have to, or like yesterday.
I thought they were going back into like, centuries before.
No, like the medieval times and stop people from being beheaded. Yeah. No, they literally go back to like yesterday.
So that's where new tricks missed a trick, because they could have, to solve all their old cases, they should have gone back in time.
New tricks with a time machine. Yeah. Bolam, James Bolam in a time machine.
Well, Bolam teamed up with Michael French in
Born and Bred. It's all linked. So... It's the Crime Traveller cinematic universe. Hilarious.
Tell you what, let's get that stove lit, warm the place up, and I'll stand you a pint of Phyllis's finest.
Right, so... And they go back like a day or whatever,
right.
Catch the person, and then they have to live the time again.
Oh, right.
But they can't run into themselves, because it's never specified what would happen, but apparently that would be bad.
It's a paradox.
Yeah, exactly.
The encounter could create a time paradox, the results of which could cause a chain reaction that would unravel the very fabric of the space-time continuum and destroy the entire universe.
Also, you can't travel into the future, because, and this is a genuine line of dialogue from Crime Traveller, you can't travel into something that doesn't exist.
Right.
So you can't travel into the future.
Fair enough.
Either.
But so I think the reason it only lasted one series is because they spent far too long explaining the rules. The rules. So by the fourth episode,
bear in mind we've already spent far too long explaining the rules on this episode. Okay. Bear in mind there were only 8 episodes, and there's this much dense mythology about the nature of time travel.
I think it should have been deserved another series.
Well, it got over 8 million viewers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know it's different nowadays to back then, but people would be dying for that kind of viewing figure now.
Well, apparently there was just sort of a change in the BBC behind the scenes. Right. So it wasn't like cancelled, it was just like no one ever commissioned it again. Because they just sort of forgot about Crime Traveller.
Sad, isn't it?
It was just sort of, lost in the annals of time.
Big Finish to do an audio version.
Big Finish to recruit French and Annette and do Crime Traveller audios, please.
No, genuinely, that would be a really cool
I know, I would actually buy that, no joke. So, let's have a look now at a lovely little ridiculous trailer for Crime Traveller.
A mystery adventure series with a real difference. Jeff Slade's a police detective with one big advantage. He's always in the right place at the right time. A detective with time on his side. It's uncanny, and the explanation sounds crazy.
A time machine.
Crime Traveller, a show with a brand new way of solving crimes. Holly's time machine's cobbled together, but it actually works. Slade and his scientist friend Holly can't fly into the future, but they can travel back to the past. And Slade becomes the most brilliant detective ever.
8 o'clock. He's been solving crimes like there's no tomorrow. He seems to know everything.
That's enough.
Hilarious. Even the trailer's like trying to explain everything in 4 minutes. It's a trailer. Should be 30 seconds max.
What I liked is though his uncanny way of travelling through time. They point out that he basically has an advantage. So he doesn't prevent murders in Crime Traveller. He doesn't stop crimes happening. He just uses it to bump up his own arrest stats.
See,
Michael French.
My problem with this is the same with a lot of crime dramas, things like Rosemary and Thyme, where
how is it in any way the same problem as Rosemary and Thyme?
They're gardeners and they all just happen to be at all these murders. With him, because he knows where they're going to be. Surely after a while they're going to go, you must be involved in something here. What's her name from Murder, She Wrote? She's always there.
Lansbury.
Stop interfering. Get back to work. Get back to gardening.
Well, what is her job in Murder, She Wrote?
She's an author. She used to be a detective, but I think she's an author now. Whereas Rosemary and Thyme,
I tell you what,
what's she doing?
I'd love to see. I'd love to see Lansbury in a time machine.
Yeah,
I'd love that.
Yeah.
Why is it that so many people around Jessica Fletcher,
sorry, lady,
wind up dead?
There's been another murder, man.
Murder?
Oh,
good heavens.
But anyway, maybe that's why there was never a second series of Crime Traveller, because Jeff Slade was arrested for multiple murders. Alright, so Crime Traveller, it got cancelled.
Okay.
It didn't really have much luck.
Sad.
So, again, I'm awesome with numbers. 5 years later.
Okay.
2002. Now, this is one I've been looking forward to because you don't have a clue about this show,
No,
do
I
you?
doubt it.
Strange.
No.
Strange.
No.
Which aired on BBC One. It aired a pilot in 2002, followed up by a full series in 2003. And Strange was about John Strange, who... that's what I warned you about. John Strange, right? He's a priest, right? And he was disgraced. He was defrocked. Is that the right word? Dismissed from the clergy. Decloaked for he was something for killing people. Turned out he didn't kill anyone.
All right.
The demons did it. Demons. Now he's a rogue ex-priest
He's
a rogue ex-priest who hunts demons.
What kept you? Took the wrong turning at the substation.
I knew I should have taken you sooner.
It's a bit difficult with my mains cut off. You must have been delighted when electricity was invented. No more waiting around for a lightning bolt. You can just ride the current to wherever you like. Of course, that was why you did it, wasn't it?
Did what?
I saw a picture today of Faraday, accompanied by the lab assistant who helped him discover electrical charge. How many have you killed since you persuaded us to wire up every house on the planet?
Not enough.
I remember I read about this in, I can't remember, like SFX magazine or something at the time, and I thought, you know, I was hungry for anything that sounded a little bit like Doctor Who. So they were like, yeah, there's a new show, Saturday nights, BBC One, about a maverick priest who hunts demons. And I was like, that sounds good. And also, it sounds a little bit like, a lot of people say it was kind of not just a response to Doctor Who, it was, you know, Ripper, the planned spin-off from Buffy with Anthony Head that they were going to do on BBC. It was going to be on BBC.
Should have happened.
And then it never happened, and some people say, well, this was their way of doing that without paying for the rights and getting Joss Whedon involved and so on.
Right.
So yeah, let's have a little look at. It's got a great title sequence, great theme tune, Strange, and I'll be interested to see what you make of this. There you go, and as you can see, the role of John Strange was played, of course, by Richard Coyle.
Stellar cast.
Richard Coyle, of course, yeah, he was the lead in a Stephen Moffat written series. Not Doctor Who, though, of course. He was sex maniac Jeff in Coupling.
The one that thought he was too good to be in Coupling anymore and left it, ruining the series.
To make Strange, of course. Why would you not?
Steve! Breasts! Breasts!
So, Strange, I think it had a strong concept. The execution was a little flawed. So basically, yeah, you had John Strange. He was a demon hunting priest. His companion sort of character was woman Jude, played by Samantha Janus, as she was at the time. Yeah. She had a baby with a bloke who turned out to be a demon, and she was worried that her son was now a demon. That was sort of her backstory.
Well,
you would.
Yeah.
And the demon seed, as it is. And then you had another sidekick who was sort of a tech whiz, played by he had tech to find the demons, obviously.
Right, of course.
He was played by Andrew Lee Potts, who we'll hear more about next episode, because he later was in Primeval on ITV, playing a tech whiz.
Typecast.
Yeah. Then you had Strange's nemesis, who was Canon Black. He was
Canon Black.
Hey, you don't scoff at Captain Black being the villain in Captain Scarlet. So Canon Black fought John Strange.
Canon.
Yeah, like a priest, not like a not like a gun.
What was his name? Like Cannon.
Like
you're going to name him that? He's going to be a villain, isn't he?
Like Victor Von Doom. He never had a chance, did he? That poor sod. Canon Black with two N's. No, he was played by Ian Richardson, who was in the original House of Cards. Yeah. I think he would have been great in Doctor Who. Yeah. He's sort of like, a lot of people say he was like the best master that ever was. He's fantastic actor.
Canon Black, you were going to visit St Vincent's to speak to Arthur Rutt about those rooms.
Thank you, Doddington. I have not yet succumbed to Alzheimer's disease.
You asked me to remind you.
Jesus Christ! Oh, go and toast some crumpets or something.
And Strange was directed by this guy Joe Ahern, who actually directed 5 episodes of Doctor Who when it came back in 2005. So
this helped his job prospects.
Yeah, and Strange's mentor, Father Bernard, he was like a blind priest. Guess who played him? Don't read my laptop. Guess.
Someone from Doctor Who?
It was Tom Baker, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Tom Baker.
Yeah.
Who, again, as we'll see, kind of inherited the mantle of sort of kindly, old, slightly odd mentor in these sort of shows, a lot of these sort of shows.
I was hopeful I could spare you this until today.
What?
Last week, I was walking through the cathedral on my way to the library. I like to go through the sacristy to avoid the steps. I should have recognized the scent of stone dust in the air. But I was preoccupied. And then, before I knew it, I was flat on my face on the floor. Damn fool stonemasons had ripped up the floor for repair and gone to lunch, leaving it unattended. The facing stone was removed, and underneath it another, rougher stone, probably pre-Christian. As I ran my hands across it to get up, I couldn't help reading the letters A-S-M-O-T-H. Asimov.
Strange, again, it ran for one series, but the sort of section on its future on Wikipedia, I think has been written by a slightly shitty Strange fan who's still not got over the fact that it was cancelled, because it goes, broadcast on Saturday nights, the series was hampered by frequent time slot changes, the long gap between the pilot and the series, and the BBC's decision not to repeat the pilot before the series aired.
Calm down, bro.
Furious. A furious Strangian. Still,
but I love those Wikipedia entries. They're always ones that aren't big enough for, like, that's probably the only edit it's had for the last 10 years.
There's no citation needed on that one, because no one cares. No one wants the Strange article on Wikipedia to have citation.
Maybe it was Richard Coyle.
Maybe it was Richard Coyle. Broadcast on Saturday night. No, it was that. Anyway, so, didn't work out for them. Next on my list, you've got a show that had 2 series.
Okay.
So not all that bad.
Did a little bit better.
It has its roots in the 60s in more ways than one. So it's Randall and Hopkirk Deceased.
Yeah, I
remember this? Did you watch this?
Vic and Bob.
Yeah, did you watch that?
A bit of it, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't like an out-and-out comedy, was it? It was actually quite...
Comedy drama,
yeah,
I would say.
It was good to see them actually...
acting.
Well, Vic Reeves actually trying in some of the ones. Actually making an effort.
Friends for life. The church is approximately 3 miles away. You must be the most thorough best man in the world.
Won't let a little thing like death come between them.
I've got a fantastic new power. Would you show it to me?
Look, if you don't stop, I shall call the police. Drama to die for.
You just stay there. You go, please.
Well, who?
Just remember, she was my fiancée. You keep your hands to yourself.
Randall and Hopkirk Deceased. New drama starts Saturday at 8:55 on BBC One.
Well, the thing was about Randall and Hopkirk Deceased. It ran for 2 series. Saturday nights.
Saturday nights,
BBC One.
Wouldn't happen now, would it?
Prime time, you don't get drama.
You
don't get drama on Saturday night. You don't.
Apart from Doctor Who.
Apart from
the
Doctor
only
Who.
thing you get, like even things like Broadchurch and Downton Abbey aren't Saturday nights.
No.
Are they? They're the big ones.
There is no drama on British television on Saturday nights anymore. The only reason Doctor Who is still there is because it used to be there. Do you know what I mean? If Doctor Who was actually a new show, they wouldn't put it on Saturday nights.
We were saying this the other day about like ratings and stuff.
Yeah.
How
the Doctor Who ratings at the moment are not great. They're not spectacular.
But the problem is, it's because it's Saturday nights and you're going up against things like the rugby and X Factor and all this stuff. Like, put it on a weekday. You'll get much more viewing.
But there's a bit of me that twinges. I don't like it.
Nah,
Doctor Who belongs on Saturday nights.
Or do it earlier in the year when there's not much on.
I do think that. Well, funnily enough, when Doctor Who came back, it was on in March and it was spring. But then you had people complaining, going, Doctor Who should be on in the autumn when there's rain outside. And again, I kind of get that it's the feel that you love, the autumny feel. Yeah. But so I get it, but it doesn't. But there's too much else on.
Exactly. I think just a couple of months before. I know summer's a bit weird, but nah. Anyway,
there's no good time for Doctor Who to air. Anyway, so yeah, Randall and Hopkirk, Saturday nights, prime time, BBC One. It was kind of remake of the old '60s show about a detective and his partner. His partner gets killed, and he comes back as a ghost. And actually, it was created, the original one, by this guy Dennis Spooner, who he wrote 21 episodes of Doctor Who in the 1960s. And like, I was looking him up on IMDb. You could pretty much do a whole episode of Two Geeks on Dennis Spooner because he co-created the Champions. He wrote for the Avengers. He wrote for Stingray, Thunderbirds, Fireball XL5 of the fantastic theme tune fame. Amazing. Yeah, and then this remake they did with, as you say, Vic and Bob, written produced by Charlie Higson. He had a lot of actors who would later be in modern Doctor Who. So you had Derek Jacobi was in one episode, Simon Pegg, David Walliams, Rhys Shearsmith, who's going to be in the new series of Doctor Who. There was a character Wyvern, who was Marty Hopkirk's kind of ghost mentor, played by Tom Baker. Yeah, he's played by Tom Baker, of course. And guess who killed Marty Hopkirk in the first ever episode? The actor.
Peter Capaldi.
No, go backwards.
Matt Smith.
No, it wasn't Matt Smith.
David Tennant.
It was David Tennant, well done, yes. Third time lucky. It was, a sort of pre-fame David Tennant. Randomly, he was the villain in the first ever episode.
She's changed. She's shifted shape. She's become distant. She has these violent episodes, and I thought at first that she might try and harm someone else, but lately I've become terrified that she's gonna turn it inwards.
What made her change, do you think?
I don't know. That's what I want you to find out. I want you to watch her, find out what it is, and stop her from...
Can I just clarify, are we talking about suicide here?
Had writers, Mark Gatiss wrote episodes, Gareth Roberts, who's also written for Doctor Who.
Nice.
Guess who did the music for Randall Hopkirk Deceased?
The Doctor Who guy?
Yeah, it's the Doctor Who guy, Murray Gold.
Yeah.
You knew.
I remembered it.
I'm learning you're good.
I was going to say Murray Head, but that's One Night in Bangkok from Chess. So, a bit of a different thing.
Murray Gold did it. I've had a few glasses of wine with Murray Gold. Very nice chat. A few too many. Yeah. Anyway. It was after the Doctor Who Symphonic Spectacular.
Oh, right.
We had a few wines. I think I owe him a few drinks, but he's richer than me, it's fine. And the theme tune for Randall Hopkirk Deceased, the new theme tune, written by David Arnold, and he remixed the Doctor Who theme tune for...
What do you mean?
Who do you think... Well, who do we talk about all the time?
What are you talking about?
Who do we talk about on Two Geeks?
Oh, Big Finish.
Big Finish! There we go! He's
well, you meant a person. It's like an album.
Tom is on the ball today.
Yeah.
So yeah, David Arnold, he remixed the Doctor Who theme tune for Paul McGann's series of audios for Big Finish.
Good.
Yeah.
It's all very incestuous, isn't it?
It's all very incestuous. Well, this is, like, Doctor Who is so mammoth and influential that, like, either people from old Doctor Who or people from new Doctor Who will pretty much have links to everything.
Yeah.
It's not like some grand conspiracy. It's just, it's been on for so long that everything's connected. Everything's connected. Next up, we're actually going to go a little bit back in time. But the reason I left this one, like Crime Traveller, but only a limited period back in time. But the reason I left this one till now is because it's CBBC, so it's a kids show. But I feel like it has very strong links to Doctor Who, and it was still kind of trying to fill the Doctor Who gap a little bit. So this show, Dark Season.
Dark Season.
Ever heard of Dark Season?
Don't remember this at all.
All right, this is good. So 1991. So I guess you would have only been like what? Five. So you were probably too young to watch this. But it went out on Children's BBC, as it was known then, on Thursdays. 25-minute episodes, so kind of like the old Doctor Who format. And it was about these three teenagers and like school kids, and they were battling to save their school and then the world from this guy, Mr. Eldritch, who was a sinister villain, kind of a Demon Headmaster vibe, but pre-Demon Headmaster. And it was written, I don't know why I'm going to do this again, written by, go and have a guess. Someone connected to Doctor Who. Yeah.
Russell T Davies.
It was written by Russell T Davies. There we go.
It was one of the two, wasn't it? Moffat or him.
The more beer you drink, you're getting sharper. So, and it starred a young Kate Winslet as one of the three kids.
Really?
Like her first breakthrough TV role.
There you go.
Yeah. So any success Kate Winslet has had since...
It's all down to Dark Season.
It's all down to Dark Season.
Where's Marcy?
Late? Marcy's always 2 minutes 30 seconds late precisely.
Robert Coles was going on about her the other day.
Which Robert Coles? Robert Coles with no chin or Robert Coles with nasty shoes?
Nasty shoes.
Don't tell me. He said Marcy was weird.
Well, he said we were weird. He said 250 shouldn't be hanging out with a little third year. Said it wasn't natural.
He's right. It is weird.
But you're like this little nugget. So Dark Season was commissioned originally because Tony Robinson wanted to take a break from making your favourite,
Maid Marian
and her Merry Men. So without Maid Marian, Dark Season would have never existed. So let's have a little clip from... This is from the first scene from the first ever episode of Dark Season. It's Mr. Eldritch kind of outlining his evil plan.
It's ready. And the testing ground? It says a school. So that's madness. A school? The teachers, the parents. It's too open, too public. It's perfect. They'll find out what we're doing. Only when it's too late. It's already too late. Nothing in the world can stop me now.
So Dark Season, 1991, it was kind of one of Russell T Davies' first ever writing efforts.
Like his audition.
Yeah, kind of. And he's very much admitted that it was very Doctor Who influenced.
We've said it before, we'll say it again. They don't do that for kids anymore.
They don't.
That's proper, like, well, dark, but more dark. I mean,
Yeah.
look at that, and you think that doesn't happen now.
There's no real sort of drama made for kids anymore, or a family audience like Doctor Who.
No. That's why it's gone kiddie, Doctor Who, because that's the only thing they got.
Well, that was clearly very influenced by Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But like in more subtle ways that perhaps only geeks would get, because there's that line there that Eldritch says, "Nothing in the world can stop me now," which has special significance for Doctor Who fans in particular, because it's one of the most famous lines ever in Doctor Who, because there's a story, Patrick Troughton's story, called The Underwater Menace, about Atlantis. And basically the villain in it is called Professor Zaroff, played by this guy Joseph First, and he delivers the finest delivery of the line "Nothing in the world can stop me now" you can ever imagine. If you kind of imagine the film Taffin with Pierce Brosnan and his incredible delivery of the line "Maybe you shouldn't be living here," it's kind of along those lines in terms of just sheer gusto that Joseph First delivers.
Nothing in the world can stop me now!
What goes on in this town is none of your business.
As long as I'm living here, it is.
Then maybe you shouldn't be living here!
Well, that's easily fixed.
I don't know which one I prefer out of those two.
Well, out of Taffin and Zaroff. It's my two favourite things. It's James Bond and Doctor Who fused. So, Dark Season, it's sort of, some people speculate as well that it might even be set in the Doctor Who universe. Obviously, he didn't do it with any authorization, but kind of unofficially, because the lead character Marcy and Russell T Davies wrote a Doctor Who novel called Damaged Goods, and he mentions the character as if it's all set in the same Doctor Who universe. So yeah, there you go.
It's like that kid with the thing we're talking about.
It's the Tommy Westphal universe all over again. So all Doctor Who and Dark Season is all in some little boy's mind. Now I've got this last one here. And this is a show which... This is kind of cheating a little bit, because it started in 2004, by which time they announced that Doctor Who was coming back in 2003.
Right.
So people already knew that Doctor Who was coming back by this point. This show...
It was still before it came back.
Yeah, but this show ended in 2007, so there's a little bit of crossover with early Doctor Who.
When else are we going to talk about this?
When else are we going to talk about this? This is a show called Sea of Souls. Do you remember this? Don't remember this?
No.
All right. So it ran for 2 series and a special. And actually the first series was produced by this guy Phil Collinson, who left the show to go and produce Doctor Who, the revival of Doctor Who in 2005. So it's kind of got that link. And I don't know. I guess it wasn't. This one wasn't so much trying to fill the Doctor Who void, but it very much feels just of a spirit of Doctor Who for me, because it's about this kind of grumpy Scottish investigator. Now even more so, it's more like Doctor Who. And he has like a couple of companions. And they're investigators, and they look into sort of psychic and paranormal events. And the main guy is actor Bill Patterson, Scottish actor, and he later appears in 2 episodes of Doctor Who, Series 5, as Professor Bracewell, who is like a robot.
From that perspective, there's no evidence.
There's no incontrovertible proof. That's not the same thing.
Okay. Let's say that he did see Craig, and he hasn't got a bad memory. He must be suffering from some kind of disorder.
Yeah, it's possible.
It's the only explanation.
It's not the only explanation. Just as unscrupulous mediums and autosuggestive delusions are not the only dangers of conducting seances.
I thought we built on what we know to discover what we don't, and remembering the difference keeps us out of the fairground.
Right, but we still have to have respect for what we don't know. We haven't yet found intelligent life on other planets, but no self-respecting astronomer is going to be arrogant enough to tell you that it doesn't exist.
But again, it kind of felt like an attempt to do Doctor Who, because they would air two-parters, but over Saturday and Sunday nights.
Okay.
It was like big, broad fantasy drama on the BBC. No, it was good, and it had. I mainly brought it up because I liked it, and I don't feel like people talk about it enough. Sea of Souls. It was good, and it had guest appearances from Peter Capaldi. He was actually in it, so there was like a Scottish overload, and also Paul McGann.
Wow.
And I got a little clip here of McGann's performance. He plays a warlock who sort of wants to take out demons. A little bit like John Strange. Yeah. John Strange. Maybe he would have been a better John Strange than Richard Coyle from Coupling. But imagine that if they brought back Strange with Paul McGann. I would have...
reboot of Strange. Everyone be crying out. That guy on Wikipedia is going to be like, yes!
No, I meant at the time.
All right.
If they had done... Because I was already thinking, Strange. Sounds a bit like Doctor Who. Maybe if they'd done it with Paul McGann, I would have just... My, little kiddie self would have just gone mental. Right, let's have a little gander at McGann. A McGander, if you will.
Nice, I like that.
All right, here we go.
Who the hell are you then?
Who do people seek?
Lord Lucan? Jack the Ripper? Or Fulcanelli? Because nobody knows when he died.
Some say that he didn't. Some say that he discovered the Philosopher's Stone and with it the secret of eternal life.
Are you suggesting that you are Fulcanelli?
Your reputation is well deserved.
You expected me to believe that you achieved the great work and are centuries old.
What do you think about Sea of Souls, having never seen...
That's like something out of Good, the Bad and the Ugly or something.
The Good, the Bad and the Ugly?
Yeah, like a square off.
Oh, yeah.
Square off?
Yeah, square off.
Yeah. But in... Well, I'm not going to say space, but it's not really space, is it?
No.
So what happened there? Why did he put his hand through him and he disappeared? What happened?
Yeah, Paul McGann was like a magic warlock.
Right.
Who was after demons.
So he was projecting himself from somewhere else?
Psychic projection, astral projection.
Oh, yeah,
like Doctor Strange.
Nice.
Yeah. So you look at all these shows, really, and it does seem clear to me, like Sea of Souls, BBC... Dark Season, CBBC, Randall Hopkirk, BBC, Strange, BBC, Crime Traveller. Yeah, you get the thing. It's just strange to me that all these shows that were trying to be Doctor Who...
Why did they just do Doctor Who?
Why not just do Doctor Who?
Why not?
And I know I say this as a Doctor Who fan, but it just strikes me as odd that it's not ITV trying to copy Doctor Who. It's not Channel 4. It's no one. It's not Sky.
Had at that point Doctor Who just got a bit stale and a bit of a joke? Had it become a bit of a joke?
Yeah, it had.
Had they run out of ideas?
It had, wrongly. But Doctor Who had become... I don't think it's possible to run out of... I'm just going on a little soapbox here. I don't think it's possible to run out of ideas with Doctor Who, because you can literally go anywhere...
Get new writers in. Maybe
exactly.
Just the right writers weren't around for ages.
They weren't. That's very true.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the production team running Doctor Who in the 80s were not the right production team for
Doctor Who is pretty much the TV equivalent of Radio 1 at that point. Because Radio 1 by the early 90s still had the same DJs from the 60s.
Yeah.
And they were still playing songs by Rolling Stones from the 60s and stuff. And it was just obviously not what they're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
It's like Smashing and Nicey. And so they finally got rid of them. They did they rebooted it, and then they brought new DJs like Chris Evans in.
Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy were very much the Smashy and Nicey of Doctor Who.
Exactly.
Some of the very best in adult-orientated, mega, middle-of-the-road mungus, light country jazz sounds. And a big hello there to all you truckers.
And that's why if you look at the old ones, I'm guessing it just feels a bit like...
Yeah.
Even then it was dated.
It needed a rest.
Yeah,
it needed a rest.
Maybe not as long as it had. Maybe it deserved to come back 5 years later rather than...
with the Paul McGann TV movie, perhaps.
Yeah.
But, I just think, if I don't think Doctor Who can ever run out of ideas. I think if a particular production team or a particular writer has run out of ideas, that writer has run out of ideas, or that team has run out of ideas, it's time for them to go. It's not time for Doctor Who to go. But, Doctor Who, I think almost like the BBC needed to catch up with it, because one of my friends once said, and it's very true, that Doctor Who in the 80s still looked like Doctor Who in the 60s.
Yeah.
So when that was in the 60s,
Yeah.
kind of what you were saying, that was fine, because those were the effects of the time, those were the production values of the time. By the time it was the 80s and you still had 60s style effects, it doesn't stand up, especially not to all the flashy American shows that were on at the same time. So I think, you know, it needed a rest. It needed time for the BBC to go, oh, actually, this isn't a joke. This isn't a little thing that will just keep running along in the background. We're actually going to invest in it and we're going to do it properly, which is what they did in 2005. But it's clear they wanted something like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
They weren't bored of it because they kept trying to...
And failing.
They kept trying and weirdly failing. Well, Doctor Who's an odd little concoction, I guess. It's a really weird show when you think about it. And they tried to do all these shows that were like it, and they failed.
But during this whole time, they were doing Red Dwarf.
They were making Red Dwarf.
I know that's a completely different thing.
You just wanted to get Red Dwarf in there.
Yeah, but at least it was like a sci-fi show, and it ran for up until McGann at least. Well, up until
when did Red Dwarf run?
Well, it was 88 and then in the early 90s it stopped. Then it came back like 97 with Chloe and
right,
and then it stopped again until recently.
Right,
but up until this whole period that we're talking about, that was when Red Dwarf was on. So that was one sci-fi entertainment show that they did have.
But Red Dwarf, like Doctor Who, was kind of underappreciated by the BBC.
Still is.
Well, exactly. Like Doctor Who at its peak was appreciated by the BBC. By the time you get to the 80s, which is when Red Dwarf and Doctor Who were on at the same time, neither show was appreciated by the BBC.
Yeah.
Red Dwarf was so unappreciated that it's now not even on the BBC, and it took someone else to bring it back.
Even though the ratings were always huge.
The smartest thing the BBC did was bring back Doctor Who, and it should have brought back Red Dwarf. Imagine if they had let some other channel bring back Doctor Who, it would have been a huge success, probably, and they would have regretted it, as I'm sure they do now with Red Dwarf. So anyway, we digress. So as I say, by 2003, plans were already afoot to bring back Doctor Who.
He was so excited when that happened.
I remember I got a little message. I think it was on MSN Messenger.
I miss those days.
Nostalgia. And one of my mates messaged me going, new series of Doctor Who on BBC Wales or something. I was like, what's he talking about? And I was like, I thought, what, like a documentary series? What? Like the idea that it could actually come back was so far removed from my brain. And then I saw it on like the BBC website, and I think I sort of just ran around my room in a circle. Like a dog when it's excited, it just chases its tail round and round and round. I couldn't hack it. I was so excited. I think I went out in the garden, just ran around the garden like a little excited dog. So of course, as we know, Doctor Who came back in 2005, a couple of years later. And I got a little clip here, which is Christopher Ecclestone, the ebullient Christopher Ecclestone meeting the press for the first time.
You know, children are watching, and you've got to take it very, very seriously. And death happens in each episode. It's tradition. It's quite actually the world of Doctor Who is quite tough, and I took it very seriously. According to the Daily Mirror, I stayed in character and slept in the TARDIS, but I never slept.
Christopher Ecclestone there describing Doctor Who as very serious. It's tough. There's death in every episode. Cheer up, Chris.
Too bad he's stopped loving it.
I like Ecclestone. I feel like
come back, could he? Ruined it.
Do you know what? I feel like he gets a bum rap, as they say. I don't know who says that, but because he only did the one series, I think he's great. I think if the
one series is fine. It's just he should have come back for that.
He should have come back for the 50th.
And now we got to do John Hurt being one of the Doctors, which even me as a non-fan looks at it as stupid.
Well, John Hurt's great though. He's great.
He's good in it.
He's great in it.
I don't like to consider him a proper Doctor.
I've got to take a red pen to all my reference books now. Where does it fit in? It doesn't. You ruined it. Stop it, Moffat. You ruined it.
Ecclestone's fault.
And it is all Ecclestone's fault. And that is it for this episode of Two Geeks.
Yeah.
Let's do the spiel.
Yeah.
So,
firstly, I wanted to just plug my other little podcast that I've got.
Oh yeah, we should do a little advert for Tom's other podcast.
It's completely different tone, and most of you probably won't be interested. But in case you like sort of chilled songs and audio clips from things like Doctor Who, because there is one in the first episode. It's the Whisper Show. It's chilled tunes and clips from the autumn and winter period, and you can get that on whispershow.wordpress.com, and you can follow me at WhisperTom.
Well, I'm not on that, so I'm not really happy about you plugging it. And I wouldn't.
All your fans will not be interested in that at all.
I wouldn't recommend listening because I'm not on it. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. It's a very good show. Yeah. Please do listen to the Whisper Show.
Yeah.
And of course, keep listening to Two Geeks. Visit our website, 2geeks2beers.wordpress.com.
Yeah.
All our old episodes are up there.
We're on iTunes, obviously. And you're on Facebook and Twitter, which is 2 Geeks Cast. So give us a search on that and you'll find us.
And YouTube, of course, our little video bonus
Slowly uploading
episodes.
them to YouTube.
It take a little time because to add the little visual bonuses. Tom does that.
Yeah.
It's a one-man job and it takes a little while.
Yeah.
We're not a huge operation and we're not paid. I keep mentioning that, but we're not paid.
Not bitter.
We're not bitter at all. So that is it for this week's 2 Geeks. But as I say, it's the first of a two-parter.
Mm-hmm.
So next time we will be continuing on a kind of Doctor Who journey, but looking at all the shows that tried to be Doctor Who after 2005. So shows that saw it was a big success and then tried to copy it.
So this was ITV, probably.
This time it's slightly different. It's because, you'd be surprised how much the BBC saw Doctor Who was a success and then tried to, let's have a bit more of that.
Okay.
Merlin.
Interesting.
Robin Hood.
Right.
Well, basically, whenever Doctor Who wasn't on, they're like, what else can we have on Saturday nights? It's not Doctor Who. Fill the void. But also ITV, Primeval, and so on. We're going to be looking at those sort of shows next week.
Awesome.
But just to wrap up, we're going to, again, travel back in time, but just a little bit back in time, for Crime Traveller, which I think of all these sort of Doctor Who fill-ins, I think it's my favourite. Just everything about,
of the ones he talked about.
Everything about it's absurd.
Yeah. I just love time travel, and if Michael French is involved, then it's even better.
Time travel and Michael French, two of our favourite things, together at last.
Yeah.
So we're just going to play out. Well, we're going to do something slightly different. We're going to look at the title sequence for Crime Traveller and just revel in its absurdity. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Right, there's a clock.
So you know where you are.
So you know it's time travel. The clock. It's exploded. There's action in Crime Traveller. It's a key. It's got the key to time travel. Michael French. Michael French is in it. There's his name.
Yeah.
Some bits of Time Machine, I think. Chloe Annette, she's in it too. Yeah.
Big star.
Some kind of. There's a chalk outline of a body. There's a crime thriller too. Anthony Horowitz, he wrote it. Yeah.
Not much going on, is there?
It's quite sparse. Crime Traveller. There's a mysterious floating eye.
Like Big Brother. Big Brother.
It's quite like the Big Brother eye. Michael French is watching you, criminals. So watch out. The clock's back. It's all about time travel.
Yeah. Going forwards though, which
is against the very premise of the show. Really, think about it.
Not the best theme tune of all time, but yeah.
I think you can see why they brought Doctor Who back. Really, looking at that, can you? Yeah.
Right. Cheers.